Using the verbs be and have. The verbs be and have special singular and plural forms. Because of these special singular and plural forms, oftentimes the verb be and the verb have are mistaken for different parts of speech. That means sometimes we'll read a sentence with these verbs in them, be or have, and we won't realize that be and have are verbs. Also, because they have special forms, oftentimes we can make mistakes in choosing the correct form. So, in order for us to understand that be and have act as verbs and also how to use them correctly, it's crucial, meaning it's really important that you understand how to create or write or make the various forms of be and have. If you remember, these two verbs are helping verbs, and they happen to be helping verbs that we use a lot. So it is so important that we are able to make these correctly. Let's take a look at our examples. I am 13. She is 13. Both of these are examples of the verb be, but they look nothing like the original infinitive form be. They don't have a B or an E in them, and yet they come from the verb to be. Let's take a look at our next examples. I have a PlayStation. He has a PlayStation. Both of these come from the verb have. I have, the verb hasn't changed from its infinitive form, but he has, the verb has changed. So you'll see, depending on what the subject is, the form of the verbs be and have will change. Let's look over on the right-hand side of our screen. You'll see two tables, one with the verb to be on the top and another table with the verb to have. Let's take a look at the top table first with the verb to be. On the left-hand side of the table where you see my cursor now, this is what we call the singular form because all of these subjects, I, you, he, she, and it, all refer to a singular or one individual. Over here on the right-hand side, we call these the plural form, and that's because the subjects we, you as in you all, and they refer to more than one individual. So let's look at the forms that go with each of our subjects for the verb to be. When you have the subject I, in the present tense, the verb would be am. In the past tense, it would be was. I am 35. I was 35. Let's look down here. You. If you have the subject you, the verb will be in the present tense are. In the past tense, were. For example, you are in sixth grade and you were in fifth grade last year. Let's look at the next one. If the subject is either he, she, or an it, the verb in the present tense will be is, and in the past tense, was. She is 12. She was 11 last year. Now let's head over to our plural forms of the verb to be. Notice how it's all the same. So what's important is in English, we have included these subjects so we know who we are talking about. In any of these subjects, we, as in a group of us, including yourself, you talking to a group of people, they talking about a group of people, you are going to use the present tense are and the past tense were. For example, we are at school. Or we were at school yesterday. Or they are all in 6th grade. Or they were all in 5th grade. Or our final you here, you are listening to the teacher. You were listening to a different teacher before me. So again, we have the verb to be in the singular form on this side here on the left and in the plural form on the right. Notice how different these look. Am, is, are, was, and were from the original verb to be. They look different. So it's important to understand these are still all coming from the same word. To be is the mama, and all these am, is, are, was, were are her children. Now let's look down at the verb to have. Again, on our left-hand side, you'll notice we have our singular form, and that's because it goes with our singular subjects, I, you, he, she, or it. So let's take a look at our singular form of the verb to have. If you have the subject I, in the present tense, you will say, I have. I have $10. Excuse me. In the past tense, you will say, I had $10 before I went and bought ice cream, right? So notice it stays the same in the present tense, but in the past tense, the form does change. That's the same for the subject you. Let's take a look at the subjects he, she, or it. To have, if you have the subject he, she, or it in the present tense, changes its form to has. It has one tail. Any animal, right? It had one tail. If you're talking about a lizard, their tails can get chopped off but regrow. So it had one tail before it got chopped off. Notice how the form changes and is different in the present tense, present singular form, has. Let's take a look over on the right-hand side at our plural forms. In every single subject, we, you, all, and they, the forms are the same. In the present tense, it's all have. In the past tense, it's all had. We have class today. We did not have class today. We had class today. We hadn't class today. That would go for all these subjects. So again, notice how these forms, had and has, look very different from the mama to have up here. So it is important that you understand that. We don't say things like, I or she have a bad day. Those are mistakes that we make maybe when we're younger. But at this point, I want you to focus on these different forms of the verbs to be and to have. Now that we've gone over this a bit, I want you to take this time to practice on your own. On your guided notes, you'll notice this practice here, 1 through 10, where you need to highlight the correct form of the verb in each sentence. Go ahead, pause this video here, and do this now. Let's see how you did. Number 1, I at the school track. Well, I have the subject I, and I know that I need to change the form to be to am. So the correct answer is I am at the school track. Dad and I. Ooh, that's a grouping. Dad and I, collectively, that's a we because it's including yourself. So I could almost change that and put we there and see if that what works there. Do I say we has or do I say we had? I would say we had. So instead of we, I have dad and I, which is the same thing as we. Dad and I had a good run. Number 3, the cool weather. That's an it. That's a thing. So it needs to go with the verb was. The cool weather was perfect for running. Running, here's another it. It's in the present tense here, so we have to choose between is and are. Running is an it thing, so running is good exercise. Number 5, the 15-mile club. Here's another it thing. It's a club. It. The 15-mile club is popular at our school. All club members. Ooh, that's a they. We have multiple members. It's a they. All club members have a goal to run 15 miles every week. Number 7, I had the idea for this club last year. Past tense. I had. Number 8, our school has. Our school is an it. Our school has a new track. Number 9, 5-kilometer, 5K races. This is a they because races is plural. So 5K races are about 3 miles long. Number 10, we were eager for the race to begin. We were. Take this time now to go back to your own notes and see how you did. Make any corrections necessary and let me know if you have any further questions about a particular number.